Next up, at UFC Tampa, we got Sean Woodson taking on Fernando Padilla. Sean Woodson, 12-1 in his career, 4-0-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that win over Alex Caceres, taking on Fernando Padilla, 16-5 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that bounce-back win. Wait, coming off a bounce-back win over a UFC debut. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's coming off a bounce-back win, and it was over Luis Paello that stepped up on short notice in a UFC debut. That's right. I got there. Daddy figured it out. Sean Woodson, long as hell. Just ridiculously, insanely long. He's a boxer. He had an actual boxing career before he moved over to MMA, and he manages distance really well. One of the very few fighters who actually knows how to use their reach, and that's because of that professional boxing background. Given how good his hands are, you're going to try to take him down, but he does a really good job, again, being long, widening his legs like as far as you possibly can so you can't wrap your arms around, and it's hard to take him down. He's coming off that, what I think was a pretty one-sided win over Alex Caceres, where he controlled the striking. He's taking on Fernando Padilla. He's also a long, rangy guy, but instead of using that reach, he likes to fight in the pocket. He wants to keep things dirty. He's an aggressive striker who'll plot forward and get that pocket-style boxing going. He likes to work in the clinch, where he'll fire up knees, and then if you get him to the ground, he'll use that length to wrap you up and work various submissions. He likes to come forward. He'll take risks, but he doesn't have any wrestling at all. So he can't control if it goes to the ground or not. You have to initiate the takedowns. You disagree with that statement?
I mean, it's going to be hard to believe, but I was laughing again at that picture with that caption.
You just keep laughing at your own picture from 25 minutes ago, 44 minutes ago. Holy shit. Anyway, Fernando Padilla, both these guys are long and lean. Both of them want to make it dirty. Jacob, here, let me tell my scripted joke here. In the 90s, are you ready? In the 90s, I was rooting for Littlefoot and the other long necks. But this weekend, I'll be rooting for long legs. And I think Sean runs away with it. You get the joke? You get the joke? It's about the movie The Land Before Time. They were called long necks, the brontosauruses. You get it? Because Fernando Padilla, look. You get it?
People are going to say he looks like an alpaca. I disagree.
Somebody said that a few years ago. And this is just, he doesn't really look like, this is just an unfortunate picture the UFC insists on using. He commented on one of our breakdown videos with this and he was like, wow, okay. Like just something like that.
I think he literally said, I don't look like an alpaca.
Something like that. He commented on it like, what the fuck, guys? Like, Jesus Christ. But who do you think wins?
Yeah, I'll be honest. First of all, I got to mention the neck tattoo of Sean Woodson. You know, I'm also, neck tattoo.
You know how big of a fucking needle they'd have to do a Fernando Padilla neck tattoo? A week and a half he'd be in that chair. He would get bed sores waiting for them to finish up that neck tattoo. They'd have to put the blood clot things on his legs to keep the blood flowing. He'd be in that chair so long. My bad. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, shit.
Fernando, we're just fucking around. I'm sorry.
I honestly was a Fernando hater, and I'll be honest, too. I forgot that I was at his last fight. I literally was at the fight 13 feet from it, watching him strangle that guy out, and I completely forgot I was at that fight. I was watching the fight. I was like, wait a second, I was at this fight. Apex is a lot of fun. But I was kind of a doubter and a hater of his style, and I didn't think he was really that dude going into that fight, even against a short notice guy. I think I even bet against him, and then he fucking basically knocked the guy out and then choked him out, and I was like, oh shit, maybe this guy Fernando is the real deal, because you saw him in a couple fights where he just wasn't doing enough, and now all of a sudden he's like this killer, and he's already a tough son of a bitch. You know, I love my Mexicans, and these Mexicans he's like the epitome of a tough fucking son of a bitch. And in this fight, from what I saw from Padilla in his last couple fights, a little bit more dynamic in the striking, not just resorting to the boxing, because if he stands and just boxes with Sean Woodson, he's going to lose. He's going to get out jabbed. He's going to get out striked. It's just a nice, clean boxing match in the middle. But this guy has been really good with his kicks, his teep kicks, the kicks up the middle, active with his kicks, the high kicks, the punching as well. I think he's the more dynamic striker of the two. I don't think Sean Woodson's going to be able to default to the wrestling like he has been lately for whatever reason. And I just think he kind of gets out volume. This is probably going to be a close fight, a back-and-forth fight. I think the finishing upside is going to be on the Fernando Padilla side because we've seen Sean Woodson get rocked a couple times. He definitely can get hit, and he rolls with stuff, and he's a long guy. He knows what he's doing in there, but he's been getting chin, and Padilla kind of hits hard, and he gets real sneaky with those elbows too. And when you're Sean Woodson, and you're not used to somebody with the same length as you, because not very many people have the same length, and all of a sudden this guy's a lot closer than you think, those elbows can really get in there where you've been a long guy, you're not used to an elbow coming at you, especially when you know how to keep that range. When somebody is right there in your face and they throw in those elbows, I think the finishing upside's on Fernando, and I think that even in a close fight, he's going to be doing more, looking visually like he's doing more. Instead of just a jab, 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 it's a big kick, it's a big punch, it's a big elbow. That's going to win him the rounds in the judges' scorecard. So I'm kind of pretty high on Fernando here for whatever reason, but I think he gets it done.
Yeah, listen, I pick Sean Woodson because I think Fernando is going to try to come in, close the distance, and I think Sean's range might be a little too good. But I agree with you. If Fernando can make it ugly and get in the pocket and make it dirty and gritty, it's going to be a problem for Sean for sure. For sure.
Yeah, you can't. There's no backup. I mentioned that with Ian Gary. One of my biggest things about picking against Ian Gary was there was no plan B. There was no plan B. And once he started getting touched like 2 or 3 times by Shavkat, he couldn't go to the wrestling, couldn't go to the grappling. Obviously, he did, hit that the sweep or whatever, and was on his back. And if he knew how to lock in a rear naked choke,
that was Shavkat tried to shuck the head, and his hand slipped over, so Ian took his back.
Yeah, well, whatever it was. I mean, he still wasn't able to do it. But there was no plan B. But my point is, that's why he lost the fight, because once he was getting kind of outstruck a little bit, there was nothing he could really do. Sean Woodson, against a guy like Padilla, I don't think he's going to have a plan B. So if he gets backed up and that jab isn't keeping Padilla off of him, I think he's kind of fucked.
Yeah, I don't. It should be a close fight. This is another fight where I was hovering over, like, betting on Sean Woodson. I'm just like, my mouse was hovering, like, should I bet here? And I was like, I'm going to leave it alone. Fernando Padilla got some dog in him. Let me just leave that alone and see what happens. I mean, Fernando Padilla plus 3.5. If that drops, sometimes they don't do it with the close odds. That might not be the worst bet in the world either, because maybe he can grit out one round, stay tough.
I have a good
Sean
bet
Woodson.
on Padilla.
There you go. If you want to check out Jacob's bet on Fernando Padilla, you can do so now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's only $10 for an entire month. And you're not only going to get UFC Tampa. Not only are there fights on the other side of the jump within a month, you're also going to get all the future bets. We got fights broken down for UFC 311, UFC 312, and so other matchups as well. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top.
They fucking refunded my Amanda Hebos bet. The best bet of the fucking century. $1,000 on Amanda Hebos plus 130. They reset the fucking odds on that. So they fucking canceled the goddamn bet.
Well, that stinks. What doesn't stink is $1.99 from Pierce. Jacob, I'll bet you $100 Kobe wins. Bet openly his ass.
Hey, Pierce, why don't you just fucking bet the book and you can make even more if he wins? I mean, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah, because he's a 3-1 dog.
Yeah, just fucking bet the book, and there you go. You can make even more instead of just betting me.
Well, if you want to bet him, send Jacob a bet openly. Peer-to-peer betting, better odds.